Do you have any idea the kind of risks a woman like me takes every time she agrees to have a little fun?
Never thought about it that way.
Of course you haven't. You're not a woman.
Hi, I am Grant from Screen Rant. How you doing today, Willa?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so excited to chat with you for this movie. I watched it the other night and I was just gripped from start to finish. You and Kyle just are incredible in this film. I love the way it really toys with audiences' expectations, but I'd love to hear what it was about this script and this character that really sparked your interest to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was just an amazing script. It's very rare that I kind of like finish a script and like have no notes, and I kind of had no notes, and I had such an emotional reaction to reading the script that I kind of just immediately knew that I had to do the job. And I was so scared at the same time that I like wasn't going to get it because it wasn't an offer. And I think that the script was so specific and so clear and so detailed and was on the page what you see on the screen. And that's really rare. You just don't usually read a script that is that translatable. And I think it's a testament to JT's writing and JT's directing and the cast that he assembled that it really was what it was on the page. And that was what drew me to it.
So I'd love to touch on that, the fact that you mentioned it's so easily translatable, because one thing I loved about this film is how much of a mental chess game it is between these two characters to figure out who is really who. And so was all of that sort of already on the page, or did you work with JT and Kyle a lot to figure out, what is the mentality in this sequence versus this sequence?
I mean, I think JT really trusted us. I think that there was, I think that there on both sides of the equation was just an implicit trust that we were taking these characters on and that he had chosen the right people for the job. And every week I would have like a check-in with JT. We would have like a meal together, usually every weekend. And I would kind of like go through everything that we were shooting that week and just be like, here's what I'm thinking for this scene and this scene and this scene. Does that track? And we would just like have a big kind of rundown. So, cause we had to shoot so fast, about what we were shooting that week so that we knew we were on the same page. And I think that, having that kind of relationship with your director is kind of essential when you're telling a story that's so complicated. And yeah, it was wonderful.
That sounds like a really creatively rewarding experience. So I'm glad that you got to have that with JT. And I'd love to hear about working with Kyle as well, because this is very much a two-hander between the two of you.
Yeah.
And so what was it like, finding that dynamic, especially, I can't get into spoilers, but as things start to get unveiled about the two of you?
Yeah, well, JT and Kyle's not here, so I can just shit talk. I'm just kidding. No, I love Kyle. I love Kyle so much. He is such a fabulous actor and a really lovely person to get to work with on set. And we just kind of really hit it off from the beginning and had a great dynamic interpersonally off of set. And that just kind of like made our life on set easier, because when you already have chemistry with another person, it's just something you get for free that you don't have to like manufacture on set. And that just kind of that gave us a great foundation from which to play with everything else.
So what is it then like for you when you have that great chemistry, having to make that flip of the switch in your head of, okay, now we may be on opposing sides as this movie goes on, going into the scene?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's, I think everything goes hand in hand, because, you want to have there's a safety that you get when you like somebody and when you trust somebody as an actor. And that sort of safety allows you to go the crazy places. And I think that that's essential for being able to tell this kind of story.
It really does go to some crazy places. And I'd actually love to ask about that too. I mean, this is a movie that is so, I don't want to say structured around its big reveals, but at the same time, like when you're doing press like this, how hard is it for you to bite your tongue about some of the things that this movie does?
I mean, It's so far, it's actually been okay. I was kind of really nervous, honestly, at the beginning of this press day. I was like, what am I going to say? But there is so much to say that is kind of just about what the story is and about who these characters are, that is just independent of what happens. Because, you know, I mean, I think that I think that obviously there'll be a time down the road when enough people have kind of seen it that we can have a more comprehensive conversation. And I'm excited to talk about the movie in its entirety. But I do think that it's such a fun ride that it's just, you know, we all want to like keep it an unknown ride for people as long as we can, which obviously won't be forever.
Well, I was certainly surprised by so much of what happened in the movie, so I am willing to keep my mouth closed on those spoilers until that comes about. So this movie also requires a lot of physicality from both you and Kyle, whether it's, you know, running through forests or fights or, you know, as we saw the sort of more oddly intimate scenes. What was it like, you know, diving into those sequences while also still being in the mind of the character?
Yeah, I mean, I love action sequences. I love scenes that don't have dialogue. I find all of those to be just really interesting opportunities to show character in different ways. And so for me, that was like, I was so excited to do all of those things in the movie. And I think that there's, the movie is as a movie, and also the character as a character is so embodied that it didn't feel like a stretch to just kind of like be with her in her bodily experience for like, you know, without dialogue. It felt like it carried itself through those moments.
I could certainly imagine being in those moments, you know, feeling what she is probably feeling. So that's great that you were able to find that. I see I'm almost out of time, so before I let you go, I'm also a huge Reacher fan, and I missed Roscoe a lot in season 2, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, especially since we're talking about action, about possibly returning in that show's future if they were to
I mean, I don't know anything about it. Very honestly, I've heard nothing. So you'll have to ask Nick Santora about that. But I've watched all of season 2, and I'll watch season 3. I love what they're doing over there. I think it's very fun.
Well, I hope they find a way to bring you back, because I did love the rapport you had with Alan in that
I did too. It was a very fun show to shoot. I love Alan.
But in the meantime, at least we have Strange Darling to put out there, because
very different.
But at the same time, such an incredible watch. So thank you, Willa, so much for taking the time. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to chat.
I want something intimate, something romantic.